Yeah, bird dogs are so cool because you have like it's almost like a biker short and
Yes,
then a
I
short on
love
top of
it.
a
As a
short.
former
And
athlete, oh my gosh, it's
yes,
so
and
great.
right, and it also has all of these zipper parts. So, I mean, it was the one time in a long time that I've been able to go to the gym and not have to drag anything with me in order to carry my purse, excuse me, my phone or my keys and not my purse. So yeah, I got a cosign on those. Very unique. And like you said, Jarvis, go to that website because it's actually kind of fun and funky in a corny way. Yeah,
Yes.
but that those bird dogs are the truth. So just like the truth, at least from what we're being told, is the quarterback core for the Falcons. So 3 trips to the red zone, all 3 quarterbacks score a touchdown in 7-on-7 action in the final joint practice for the Falcons against the Dolphins on Wednesday. And I thought to myself, did we say 3 trips to the red zone and 3 touchdowns and the Falcons all in the same breath? Yes, we did. And you may say to yourself, oh, okay, well, it's just joint practice. What's the big deal? The big deal is Arthur Smith on the offensive side. And of course, we know Jerry Gray spoke about this on the defensive side. It's not necessarily, it's watching, not necessarily even the touchdowns, although we all like them to score in the red zone. It's how did you get there? And to
Yeah.
be able to say that all 3 quarterbacks were able to execute, and specifically, Arthur Smith called out the decision making of Desmond Ridder on his drive. Jarvis, you have to be encouraged that that's more of what you're going to see in this upcoming season.
And it also tells me that everybody has a good understanding of what Arthur Smith wants to accomplish when in calling plays, right? Because that matters.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you don't want your guys to be robots. You want to understand, like, okay, all right, here's my first read. Okay, if that's not there, I'm not necessarily going to the backside wide receiver. It might be Bijan, might be my second read on this particular route, that he's coming out from the slot. So all of those little fine little intricacies, like, hey, or Kyle Pitts is not on this field, not on the
Mhm.
field, that kind of switches it up, right? Like
Right.
my first read is Kyle Pitts, and then the wide receiver, and then it's Bijan Robinson. So that's understanding personnel grouping. So I think that for all 3 quarterbacks to have some success in the red zone against the Vic Fangio type defense, who
Yeah.
they're gonna be facing a lot of guys who play that similar style of defense. So for them to get a good eye on to get work against a defense run by Vic Fangio, that's good for them not only for now, and having some success, but going forward into the season. I think it's gonna work out for them in the long run because
Yeah.
the more familiar you get your quarterback, your young quarterback who only has 4 starts under his
Mhm.
belt, in the NFL, like the more he gets to see different things, the more he get used to making adjustments and having the knowledge that, hey, I know what Arthur Smith is trying to do, so here's how I attack this different look that we didn't necessarily work on. So those are some of the things that I feel like that's that's a good sign. Those are good things because not necessarily tangible results. When you talk about practice, because there are different variables. Like, hey, you're not really touching the quarterback, so there's that piece of it too. But when you have the scheme being perfected and you understand what your offensive coordinator is trying to do, that's when I feel like you're making a lot of progress. And I think that it can do nothing but work wonders for them once the season gets rolling.
Yeah, and I also think that speaks to communication being so important and so vital. And
Yes.
that's communication across the O line, because in order for you to execute, they have to communicate well. The wide receivers, because there were different receivers on the receiving end of those touchdowns. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's critical too, to be this early in we'll call it the preseason to the preseason, to be able to execute at that level. I think that's also the positive. Yes, the red zone touchdown is the result, but it's all of the little intricacies that you just mentioned, that I just mentioned, that actually get you there. That's the most encouraging thing. That's what
Indeed.
fans should be excited about. And they should also be excited about the fact that just what we talked about yesterday was on display yesterday. We said when you look at Jeff Okuda going down, and thankfully he should be back early in the regular season. You look at Clark Phillips going down, and thankfully Clark Phillips III should be day to day. It
Mhm.
made you say, okay, you're not concerned, you're not nervous, you're not worried, because Terry Fontenot and Arthur Blank built up that DB room across time for these exact moments. And who had a pass breakup yesterday? D. Alford. Who had another pass breakup, a pick actually, excuse me, to end a Dolphins drive? Jaylinn Hawkins. That's why I said, we good, DB room. We good.
Like I've been quietly, you know how I get, like when I get a hunch about something, like I'll share with, a few people, you know what I'm saying? Of course with you, and of course with you, ATL day ones, everydayers. Yeah, I'm
Bears.
sharing with you all. I've talked about Jaylinn Hawkins and how I feel like this guy is going to be a weapon
Yes.
for Ryan Nielsen on this defense because the dude is a starting caliber safety in the NFL. Like that, I think people need to understand that. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, okay, yeah, they signed Jesse Bates. He got moved down the slot. Yeah, I get it. But I promise you, this dude can go probably start for like at least 10 other teams in the NFL. And then
Yes.
when you
Yes.
have those type of skill set, as far as ball hawking, no pun intended, though that's a skill that cannot be taught. Like it is either
Yeah,
in you
that's
or it's not
instinct.
in you.
Yeah.
Like just saying. So I think that when you have him out there, putting that on display and being a guy that can be your third rotating safety out there
Hmm.
making plays, yeah, that says a lot about the
Yeah.
depth that you have. So when you have guys go down like Akuda and Phillips, like you mentioned, like yeah, it's a big deal, but it's not a big deal because you
Right.
have guys that can come in and spell for 2 or 3 games with no problem.
Yeah. And if you look at the front end of the Falcons schedule, this is the time where you actually want these guys to be out because the Falcons have the
Quarterbacks ain't
opportunity.
all that. I just say that.
Exactly.
I ain't talking
Huh?
about no
Yeah.
bums, but they ain't all that. Let's
Right,
just say
exactly. Yeah, I would agree.
that.
So I think this is
Yeah.
also the time where if you had to have your starters out, you'd actually rather do it at the front end of the schedule because it's fairly easy to get through and then get those guys back fully healthy and ready to rock and roll when the Falcons go into a tougher part of their schedule. So yeah, I loved the fact that when we were getting our reports from our partners who are physically out in Miami and finding out that, oh wow, okay, it's exactly what we said. The TV room is good. Now, the one thing that Arthur Smith said, and I think it just depends because we talked about this a little bit yesterday, depends on kind of what end of the fence you sit on. He said post practice, he's still actually undecided. He and his staff are going to sit down today. Of course, the Falcons are off today. So the staff is going to sit down and kind of determine who plays, how long they play as far as that first team or the ones. But I'll be honest with you, I do sincerely hope to see maybe if it's a couple snaps, maybe if it's an actual series, but I really would like to see some of those ones, at least for, like I said, some snaps or an entire series. Who would you like to see? What one, or if it's more than one, who would you like to see just to kind of maybe get a better feel for how they are with real game action?
I want to see the whole entire starting offense, number one offense. I want to see everybody out there. I want to see the number one offensive line. And obviously, if they decide to play Desmond Ridder, obviously you're not going to run him out there with the backups,
Right.
So he's going to be with the number one offensive line. I want to see who they line up opposite Drake London. More than likely, it's going to be Mac Hollins. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see Scotty Miller. I want to see some 3 wide receiver sets, see who they put out there, and kind of get a good idea of who they're thinking as far as who's going to be the on that final 5 or 6 wide receivers that they carry on into the regular season. So I think that's where I'm at. But you know me, T. Like, yeah, the offense stuff, all that's cool. But like, let's talk about the real. Like, I want to see on Ebiketie. I want to see what Bud Dupree looks like. I mean, I know he's a veteran and everything like that. I don't really care to see Calais Campbell because I know what he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Arthur Smith and Calais have conversations. They figure that bad boy out. I want to see what Ebiketie looks like. I want to see how they use D'Angelo Malone because D'Angelo Malone was drafted to be an edge rusher. I haven't seen him line up on the edge that much. I've seen him in one-on-ones a little bit, but I haven't seen him
Hmm.
line up on the edge. So I want to see how
Exactly.
they're going to use this third-round pick that y'all brought in last year to rush the passer. How you're going to implement him into this new multiple system that y'all are championing. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Offense. I would love to see the number one offense, see
Yeah.
how they kind of work things, but most overall, I want to see the second-year guy, Ebiketie, see what he looks like. What have you been working on? What have you
Yeah.
been doing? I've been seeing you kind of out there, doing your thing, at practice, but I want to see what live game action, what that looks like for you going forward.
Yeah. And for me, it's the same. I just want to see, and again, I don't care if it's just 3 snaps. I want to
Right.
see first team offense in all its glory to see exactly what we're working with. And I want to see them particularly because I'm interested in a couple different things. Number one, I want to see what's going on at left guard.
Oh
That's
yes,
important. Number
absolutely.
two, I want to see what's going on over here with Caleb McGarry on the right side because I'm going to be watching to see how he operates in pass protection. And I'm just kind of curious to see, and I'm sure that Arthur Smith isn't going to show us a whole bunch of wrinkles, but it would be
Yeah.
nice to kind of see what the Desmond Ridder to Bijan Robinson connection looks like. But on the flip side, I am definitely looking to see if pass rush will really matter. And that
Mm-hmm.
does if you take away the obvious, which would be Calais Campbell, which would be any number. I'm just going to say all your linebacker core and take away, your guys in the trenches. Arnold WKT is probably my guy too.
Yeah.
And what I was so encouraged about it, but what made me intrigued about him again is the fact that Calais Campbell said on this team, he is the purest pass rusher that we have. When
Mm.
that comes
Some
from
big words.
Calais Campbell,
Yeah.
now I really want to put eyes on you and see what it is that he saw. Because you know what? That means what we saw, especially when you and I did our mock draft last year. And I said, yeah, I think they're going for him in the second round and they go after him. I'm still looking to see that guy show up on a consistent basis. But yeah, if Calais Campbell is calling you the purest pass rusher on the team, then I do need to see you show improve. What do you say, everydayers? Who are you guys going to be looking for? I know you're going to be watching the game tomorrow night. So are you looking for the Falcons to play their ones on either side of the ball? Is there a particular player that you're looking to see them take the field? And if so, what are you looking to see out of them? Let us know in the chat when you drop by YouTube to check out ATL Day Ones. And of course, do not forget, because I'm sure you're driving all around the A each and every day, make sure you download ATL Day Ones wherever you download your podcasts.